Welcome to Two Chunks and a Hunk. My name is Jordan Wonders, and this time I am the Hunk.
Ooh. Like always.
and no one ever listened again.
Yeah. Is this a Scooby-Doo podcast? I don't want to listen to Scooby-Doo.
Ruh-roh.
I'm Doge, and I chunk you in every universe.
Oh,
That's a good line.
that needs
is
to
a
be
good line.
merch, doesn't it?
I chunk you in every universe?
Yeah, that should be merch for us.
Does that fall under fair use? Is that parody law? Can we use that?
Marvel does not own any of the words besides chunk, and we own that one. So
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's print some money, baby.
That's true. That's true. I'm Carter, and this time it's gonna take more than chunking me to chunk me.
Is that merch?
Just zombie
Mayhaps.
versions of us.
Mayhaps. Tell us this. Why?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What actually? What makes you think that you should be the hunk?
This last weekend, a week ago today, as of the recording, as the crow flies, Callie and I did go to Houston to spend some time with her family. And my mother-in-law is the sweetest and insists on celebrating my birthday in person, even if she sent me a gift she sent me a gift back in February, and that was more than enough.
Yeah.
But she insists on now that we're together, we have to celebrate
To do a
Jordan's
thing.
birthday. Right. Yeah.
Sure.
She does the same thing for Callie. So we did mine, my brother-in-law, and my nephew's birthday all together for no reason other than she just loves us too much.
Yeah.
And my surprise was that we did go to a restaurant called the Hobbit Cafe.
Fun. Pop up?
No, dude, it is
Real one.
over 50 years old.
Wow. So these are book boys, not
Yes,
movie
that's
boys.
fun.
That's cool.
It's a little small. It's in a shared parking lot with a couple other themed restaurants.
It's weird. It's in a hole in a ground,
Yeah.
not a nasty, dirty, wet hole.
It shares a parking lot with a dinosaur themed bar. And
Hang on.
yeah,
I need to know more about this dinosaur bar.
it was closed. I wanted to pop in, but it was closed at the time because we went for lunch.
I really want to go now, guys.
Yeah, so it shares a
closed
parking
for
lot with a
thousands of
dinosaur
years.
themed bar and something else that I think was medieval themed. Maybe we didn't check that one out.
Let's do a company retreat to this parking lot.
It'd be fun. Just hang out. But so we went to the Hobbit Cafe, and the inside is just covered in movie posters, paintings, and memorabilia. There's a case of collector's items that's pretty cool. Some miniatures, some busts, some statues, some replicas. It's pretty interesting.
That's fun.
Bought some cool merch. Bought a t-shirt with Elvish writing on it. Bought a pint glass with the Fellowship on it.
Which Elvish song is it?
Elvish Hound Dog,
Presley?
I believe.
Yeah.
Bought a little tulip glass with the logo for the restaurant, and then bought a koozie. The food
Dang, you went all out, dude.
not great.
Yeah.
My side dish was the Lord of the Onion Rings, and that's for real.
Cool.
I mean,
That's cool.
And then I got-
is it kind of what is it? The Magic Time Machine? Is it kind of like that vibe? Have y'all been there before?
It's less committed to the bit than Magic Time Machine.
Yeah,
In
Magic
fact,
Time
gonna
Machine.
ask.
I asked my
Food
waiter,
also
I was
bad.
like, is it a prerequisite that you have to have some Tolkien knowledge to work here? And he goes, and I take umbrage with this. He said, he laughs and goes, no. The Venn diagram of waiters and people who really like Lord of the Rings is almost zero. And to him, I said, there is no shot that is even correlated whatsoever.
Yeah. No way.
I think what I actually said to him was, I don't think that's right at all.
So here's what I'm trying to picture. What music are they playing there? Is it just a top 40 station, or is it
Dude, can I be honest with you that I don't even remember
ambience?
music?
Because it feels like if you walk in and they're playing some top 40 pop,
Hey,
it breaks
I just
it
met you.
completely. Yeah.
This is crazy. Yeah, no, I
okay,
don't know.
that's the exception. Carly Rae
Sure,
is
yeah, no,
acceptable
that's
for
fine,
that.
Spanx,
but it feels like you should walk in and it should be the concerning hobbits, the Howard Shore stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Right?
I don't
Absolutely.
remember any music at all. I have no recollection of music.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I feel like you would need a recollection of music.
Yeah.
I got
'Cause even if it's,
Bomber's
like, great
barbecue
for the
burger,
background,
and it
you-
was bad.
Bomber's barbecue burger.
Yeah,
Phenomenal.
it was bad.
Yo, triple B.
I actually tend to avoid barbecue burgers because they tend to be wet in a way that I don't prefer.
It's overpowering.
But
Yeah,
I
I
went
didn't
for
do
it.
well on the Biners, Briven, and Bives either.
With Barbieri.
Barbieri. It just felt like
Barbieri.
it was going to go well with the Lord of the Onion rings, and it did not. But the Lord of the Onion rings were good.
Right?
We
I don't
talking
feel like you
is it
can
like
mess that up too
like a
bad.
bloomin' onion situation? Like
No.
bloomin' onion type of sauce or like straight up rings?
No, it was my favorite type of onion rings that are like fully encased in batter rather than breading.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was
It's
crispy
not
and
even a
delicious.
meal. It's the literal god of fried vegetables.
He was delicious though.
Just
He was
chilling on the
delicious.
side. Great conversation.
But anyway,
Update for me. 9 a.m. Friday, May the 6th. I would love a huge pile of onion rings right now.
sure,
with a
yeah. If you
Caniac
just
combo.
finished listening to our mini Monday from yesterday, you know that Caniac is now on the brain of our.
Goodness gracious, guys. We have to stop talking about this nasty, greasy fast food first thing when I wake up on a Friday.
But it's so good.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good. To be fair, most of us have been up for way longer than this. Your alarm just didn't go off, so that's getting a little personal.
Yeah, you guys beat me by like 30 minutes.
Hey, let's talk about this movie.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
movie that is called Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It's one of our longer titles.
Yeah.
Boy.
I would say so.
That's one of our longer titles. I still want to force us to watch The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, just so we have to say that whole title together. And because that movie
For our friends across the pond.
spanks. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Now, Doge, give us a synopsis because I'm ready to dive in. I'm ready.
What if the synopsis that IMDb has is wrong?
Oh.
What do I do?
Wait,
what
really?
if it's like incorrect?
Is it the only one?
Yeah.
Do it, dude. I'm
Read it.
sorry. That's the rules.
This synopsis is anonymous. Athena, all that stuff. Dr. Stephen Strange casts a forbidden spell that opens the doorway to the multiverse, including alternate versions of himself, whose threat to humanity is too great for the combined forces of Strange Wong and Wanda Maximoff.
Wait, where did this come from?
What?
Wait, did Disney make that? Like, it feels like it's a MCU made thing to throw people off because we can talk about how them trailers.
My dog, it's anonymous.
Interesting.
When you Google
it's
it-
a wrong.
When you Google it, it says Dr. Stephen Strange casts a forbidden spell that opens a portal to the multiverse. However, a threat emerges that may be too big for his team to handle.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very good.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this
down.
movie.
I'm down to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have been itching since I left the theater to talk about this with you boys more than I have in a long time for a movie. And there's about
Same.
a dozen reasons probably that make this so interesting to talk about. But I'm going to crack open my number one reason that I want to talk about it right now.
Yeah.
Do it.
I want you to know that I love all of our listeners and I love both of you boys.
Yeah.
This didn't do very much for me.
This is quite a strange movie. No pun intended. It is like, I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Certainly.
Sure. I feel the same.
But it's a very strange decision to
Yeah.
make this movie.
Yeah. And
At this point
there's
in time.
there's stuff about it that I love a lot. But my expectations were high and this did not live up to my
So
expectations.
to me, this feels like a movie that is on its, I think, second director and I think third or fourth writer.
Yeah.
Because Raimi was not the original choice for this. It was Scott Derrickson who
Right.
did Doctor Strange 1. And Scott Derrickson left the project. This very much felt to me like, do you guys remember in Age of Ultron when Thor has all those visions in the cave? And it's like, wait, what is this about?
Yeah.
And then suddenly Thor just disappears from the movie because he's like, I have to go find Infinity Stones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This felt like a full movie of that.
It was a pretty good Chris Hemsworth.
Thank you. I sound just like him.
Well, you did the first time.
You had it.
You did the first time.
Where's my hammer?
That was okay. That's not bad.
Okay.
My muscles are big.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's pretty good.
My eyes
okay.
are very,
I think it's probably
my
over.
eyes
That's
are very
enough.
blue.
I think it's probably over.
I'm the god of thunder.
Yeah, no, let's do it a few more times.
I'm the strongest Avenger.
And now anybody who stayed listening through the intro is now gone.
Yeah. But this feels like a whole movie of that, where it's like, wait, hang on.
Yes.
Hang on.
Yes. I would describe, so I'm just going to, there's so much to talk about here. My super dump is that this movie is so disjointed that I had a very hard time keeping up with the first. So my super dump specifically is the Act 1. The first 40 minutes of this movie were nothing. It was
Act 1 is
nothing. It was just scenes with some barely tangible connective tissue.
Yeah.
Yeah, Act 1 felt the most identity crisis.
I would say
terms
up
of production.
until we are in the multiverse that we spend the majority of Act 2 in. So like up until we get to that futuristic looking multiverse.
Go on red.
This movie was like, ugh.
Yeah.
And I was like sitting pretty distraught in my seat too. Like I was sitting watching, kind of panicking, like, oh no, it's gonna be a stinker. And thankfully it was not. I do not think it was a stinker.
Right.
But and it's always hard following like a top tier. Let's not pretend that anybody thought this was gonna be No Way Home. Like it is hard to follow something like that.
Right. And Marvel's proven they're still interested in putting out those mid-tier B pluses.
And I think they should be.
With things like Eternals. Eternals is a B plus, B minus maybe.
When we left,
Shang-Chi's probably an A minus. You know, nothing. It's not always going to be Endgame or No Way Home.
So I would say that Shang-Chi is that B minus and Eternals is a C for me. And I would say that this is a firm C along with Eternals, I think. This felt like about that same caliber. The disappointment from me comes with like, let's leave the C tier movies to the introduction of the fringe characters. This should have been better. Now there's some people here that are at their career best with the MCU, and in my opinion, and we will talk about that.
But that's the shocking thing to me is that this is the sequel that you make to Doctor Strange.
Right.
Because like we don't pick up any of the threads we left dangling.
Because
left
it's
the
not a
Mordo
sequel
stuff.
to Doctor Strange. This is not a Doctor Strange movie.
Exactly. We left the Mordo stuff dangling at the end of Doctor Strange. And I fully expected, like when I saw Mordo in the trailers, I thought that was our Mordo.
Yeah.
That had a history with Steven that we saw in 2017's Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think like, especially for Kevin Feige, who has said Doctor Strange is the center of our cinematic universe moving forward. He is essential to what we're doing for the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then now Benedict Cumberbatch on red carpet saying, I'm going to take a bit of a break from acting because I'm exhausted. I want to just take a little bit of time to go be a dad for a couple of months, couple of years. It feels like, for the first time, it feels like there might be a bit of a lack of direction for the MCU. This is not my super dump, but it is beyond past time that we start to draw some threads closed.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there are things in the trailers okay, here's my super dump. The Multiverse of Madness is a cool name, but it does not describe this script in any way whatsoever to me because we go to two universes. We'll go to our main one, and then a different one, and then a broken one.
Yeah.
Which I guess is technically two.
We have a really cool scene to where we get launched through about 15
Loved
of
that.
them.
Loved
Certainly. Certainly. Yeah. I predict that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, or Into the Spider-Verse? No, Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
I think that's going to do multiverses much better than this did.
100%.
Which is also, it's been delayed. I don't know if you guys saw that. It's a huge bummer.
No, I didn't see that. That's
it got
bummer.
delayed to next year. Yeah.
No,
I don't think that this does multiverse justice at all. They travel to an alternate universe and spend most of the movie there in a jail cell, which kind of sucks. But it's so shocking to me that this is the story. This is the Doctor Strange sequel that we make.
Yeah. Well, again, this is a sequel to WandaVision. This is not a sequel to Doctor Strange.
Right. It feels like No Way Home and What If kind of did the lifting for the introduction of the multiverse. And so it felt like when we talk about, Feige talks about Strange being the center, the nucleus of this phase. Is it just because he's holding the keys to the introduction of the
I
multiverse?
think
Like,
that is it.
But
And
like
that's-
we have to start drawing some through lines or closing some loops or something for this phase, because I love Marvel. I've loved these superheroes since I was a small boy.
Yeah.
But I am like when I left that movie, my overwhelming thought was like, that was cool. Why? Like, why do I care about that? Because it looked like it was going to start drawing threads, like the defeated Strange, the Dark Strange who lost the music fight. It looked like his sanctum. That looked like He Who Must Not Be Named's throne room from Loki.
Yeah.
I felt sure we were going to start figuring out why this multiverse stuff began to happen.
Right.
Yeah. And, no Laura Dern, which is a whole nother thing. Which
That is a bummer for you.
Incredibly
That's a huge bummer
disappointing
for you.
I'm getting none of this. Here's what this watching experience felt like to me is I felt like I was at a talent show. I don't care what level it is, to where while this performance didn't place, and I'm not surprised, right? It's like the top 3. This is one of the more memorable. There's like visceral things about this performance.
Yeah,
Certainly.
100%.
It's like somebody came out and I thought they were going to do one thing. They did something completely different that made me maybe stand up and my heart rate get really high. And I'm like, oh my
Yes.
God. And for that, I appreciate it.
Yes.
That'll be something that I talk about a lot.
Yes.
That might be what I talk about first. Not even about who won and what was better.
Sure.
But I bring up these things and I'm almost my super pump, but not quite. I did like how, and I think it's a testament to, I think it got really Sam Raimi, after the first act.
Agreed.
Yes, agreed.
And so one of my favorite things was Feige in the MCU saying, maybe since we haven't seen it since Taika. So Taika being able to take over Ragnarok and this being clearly the funniest installment we've ever had, almost slapsticky to an extent. I think that's a lot easier pill to swallow than body horror.
Yeah.
And dark comedy body horror. But if you look at Sam Raimi's work, The Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, like this is Sam Raimi. And so I think once it became Raimi, I was like appreciating
I was
the production
100%
company
in.
that is the MCU.
The Raiminess of it was one of the best parts of the movie.
Love
Sam
the freedom.
Raimi is my super pump for this
Love
movie.
the
really?
freedom to just let him be him. That's the
Yeah.
point. I look back and we bring up Peter Jackson just being handcuffed by Warner Brothers and Sony actually screwing stuff up all the time when they get these big names that don't even get to look like themselves.
Right.
For
Yeah.
Sam Raimi to be fully Sam Raimi, yeah, dude, I'm totally down for
So
that.
his contribution and his sensibilities on this is my super pump for this, because this is such a significant departure from the largely bloodless and goreless violence of the Marvel formula, and we let our dramatic beats land and don't immediately cut to a joke afterwards. This the vibe of this was exactly what I wanted from a Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah.
The kind of horror gothic elements of this, like when he's floating above all the candles, when he's dream walking back into the 616 from an alternate universe, that is exactly what I wanted from Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But Sam Raimi, according to Bruce Campbell, who's kind of just talking to whoever will listen to him about this movie, Sam Raimi reportedly had like a 2-hour and 40-minute cut of this movie that Marvel just absolutely ripped to death.
I buy that for sure.
And had him, hey, you need to shoot these scenes to add this in. You need to change these things. And it really feels like Act 1 is where it felt like we just talked about. Act 1 is where it was just the most disjointed and the least Sam Raimi. But once Wanda started using the reflections to get to them, that's when it became that's when it became Sam Raimi and stayed Sam Raimi to the end.
I mean, it was
almost till the end.
Almost. Yes. Yeah.
just absolutely this is the hardest PG-13 I've ever seen in my life. This is still a PG-13 movie. I want to know how close Raimi was to this being R, right? What? We don't have F-bombs, right? Is that what
No,
the
there's no
difference would have been?
F-bombs. Yeah.
This is
probably.
the most you can do with gore. And now IMDb, I think mostly it's crowdsourced in terms of when they talk about the rating subcategories. But for intense images and for violence, they're both severe. They're both the red. And I wouldn't argue against it.
No.
I mean, we saw heads implode. We'll get to we can kind of chronologically go through some of the things that Wanda does, but
Yeah.
Can I be honest? The Sam Raimi-ness of it all was great.
This movie, and maybe, I don't know, maybe I just had the wrong expectation. This movie did not live up to my expectations for the madness portion of the title.
Right.
Like, yeah, it got a little Sam Raimi horror-ish, and there was some really, and I loved those moments. Don't get me wrong. When this movie is at its best, is when it is full-blown, like, weird out there horror stuff, which is why I am so frustrated that it feels like barely get any. The stuff we get is memorable, so it sticks out, but overall runtime, there's just not a lot of that. And I feel like what I was promised from trailers and just general vibe was that this was going to get dark and weird.
Yeah. Right. And it really didn't.
It
I
didn't.
think we traveled to another universe and went to jail there.
And we have a couple horror scenes, and then that's it.
It felt like
It
I
felt
don't want to say that
more-
it felt cheap because the effects looked good.
It looked really
And we
good.
had big name actors in this. But when we're sitting in a jail cell, it felt like something we would do in early Star Trek where it's like, we can't show this planet, so Captain Kirk is going
That's
to
what I was
jail
gonna
on
say.
this planet.
Yeah, it felt way more sets than universe. Like
Yes.
Guardians of the Galaxy, the first Guardians felt far more expansive than the
Yes,
Multiverse of
100%.
Madness.
The scope
absolutely
of
agree.
this movie is way too small for the promise that it started with.
Very much
Completely
so.
agree.
Very much so.
Way
And again,
too
there's
small.
some great set pieces that happen in those areas, but it just wasn't big enough.
So
in
I
that
think
space.
Loki did multiverse stuff better than this
Way
movie.
better.
Like where we're chasing Sylvie to different apocalypses.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yes.
Like there is so much more like trippy multiverse. There's so much more madness in Loki, a television show,
Yeah.
than there is in Doctor Strange.
Totally agreed.
Yeah. Could it be that our 2 hour, 40-minute Sam Raimi cut, or like the 40 minutes that he would have done instead of the first 40 minutes we had of this, had more of that?
I
Is there
hope
an
so.
assumption that there could have been that?
I don't think Sam
Possibly.
Raimi is an ounce of the problem with this movie, if I'm being honest.
No.
I think that he is the saving grace of a movie that could have been very bland.
Yeah.
I'm ready to super dump.
Oh, okay.
Go.
And I think
We've been so positive so far. That'd be a nice change of pace.
so. Here's some correlation I've found with the first 40 minutes and something that just ultimately just didn't enjoy, and I didn't want it to be this way because I love how much the MCU is starting to flex representation. It's reflecting what the MCU comics are doing.
Yeah, right.
In terms of like, I mean, we just saw a wonderful trailer for Love and Thunder to where Jane is holding the hammer now, and we're seeing all of this kind of stuff.
By the way,
and then
I am, in the same way that I was disappointed by Doctor Strange, I am all but 100% confident that Love and Thunder is going to be amazing.
yeah, because we've got this comfort of this. This is our blanket here. This is the same piece.
Yep.
Many of the same pieces. It looks like we've got Chris on Chris
Yeah.
chemistry again, which is some of
I
the
think
best
that's the
things in the
secret.
MCU.
Like the best ones are the ones that have a muscle Chris in them.
Yeah.
Give me a muscle.
My super dump is America Chavez. It is specifically the actress. I think, and this is awful for me to be super dumping with the worst at pronouncing names.
Xochitl
Xochitl?
Gomez.
What is it?
Xochitl.
Xochitl Gomez. Personally, for me, was a bad actor.
It was a little decom.
I think this is maybe like her first or second role. She's really
And
not
that's-
done a lot before this.
That's fine.
That's fine,
It's
but don't
just,
put her in the MCU.
Yeah, I mean, we just see like a lot. There's a lot of first roles that have happened for, I guess we don't have a ton of kids in the MCU, right? The closest thing was Peter Parker, but even he feels older than America Chavez.
Yeah.
But to me,
I found
it
her
was like,
weirdly charming, but I think I still agree with you.
I agree.
I see the charm too. And of course, what a dense script to introduce someone like that in.
Yeah.
Right. So
Right.
she's
That's
probably
tough.
working against a lot of stuff. But the moments that she has back and forth with Benedict was like, our acting school is having an A-list actor come in to do some stuff with
Do a
us.
masterclass. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's what just the first 40 minutes was just like completely threw me off. And it's not even fair. It's a new thing, right? So maybe I need to chew on it a little bit more, but it's not fair to compare her to these younger members of the MCU, even those being introduced, like the Haley Steinfelds of
Right.
the world, Tom
Sure.
Holland, who's been here.
Oscar winner Haley Steinfeld.
Exactly.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
think Miss Marvel, she looks great, and I'm assuming that she'll be really good, but who
Yes.
knows? But it's like,
It's funny that you mentioned
it
Tom
didn't work.
Holland because Tom Holland is a full decade older than Xochitl Gomez.
that's
Oh,
what
wow.
I'm saying. That's why.
Yeah.
That's what makes it unfair.
Yeah.
Is she is brand spanking new in here?
Yeah,
But
I don't blame her at all.
no.
you know, she felt more like the Maximoff twins than a member
100%.
of the Avengers.
Totally
And
agree.
it was just, I don't know. Maybe I just need to sit on it a little bit more. Obviously, this is fresh, but that ultimately was my super dump because it was the most I got to know her was that first 40 minutes of just having interactions. And you could tell, and I think overall they did a pretty good job of kind
Yeah.
of introducing her in the midst of one of the shorter installments the MCU's ever had in 2
Yeah,
hours
this was
and 6
pretty
minutes.
short.
And so,
Yeah, it was.
but yeah, that was my super dump was Xochitl's performance. And I know she's
Hey, Carter.
probably
Xochitl.
Xochitl. I said Xochitl, my bad. Xochitl.
That's the man who killed Batman's parents.
Yeah. Xochitl killed Batman's parents and became the Joker.
Xochitl is America Chavez.
Okay, I think I'm hearing different things. I don't know, but I'm just gonna say Xochitl.
There you
There
go.
you go.
Okay,
Very nice.
like Sean Connery describing after he took a hit of a vape, how he's feeling.
Yeah.
Xochitl.
Xochitl.
I'm feeling so chill.
Okay,
I can't do it.
That was
I can't
Michael
do it
Caine
now,
with
man.
that was Michael Caine with an SH list.
I'm feeling so chill.
but yeah, it's so funny to also like super dump on a kid.
I know.
because
Yeah.
it feels bad. It does feel bad, but I was like,
Right.
that literally was my least favorite part.
Yeah.
and so I've just got to do
Yeah.
it. But
Well, and they have to know that when they take a swing like casting a young kid in a pretty major role, they have to understand that they are opening themselves
yeah.
up for a discussion about the acting prowess of young first-time actors. That's just-
America, I mean, America was a plot device in this. You know, like the
Yeah.
script doesn't really have a ton for her to do anyway. You know what I mean? Sam Raimi sure loves him some, your powers don't work, but if you believe in yourself, they actually
yeah,
do.
right, yeah.
Because we
Yeah.
got that in Spider-Man 2 as well. Wanda bringing the temple down on top of her was exactly like Doc Ock also in Spider-Man 2.
can I, unlike that inner magic, shout out to the moms. What a fun episode to do after Mother's Day.
Yeah, for real.
right. I'll do anything for my kids.
I mean, anything. Just about anything.
for my
I do say though, I think, and I don't know chronologically how they filmed things, but when the script lent itself to her having her biggest moment, America Chavez was, my favorite moment of America Chavez is when she ultimately finds a way to quote unquote defeat Wanda.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
to
was
like
good.
kind of show her what it would look like.
So
And
my
that was
stomach,
great. She handled that
my
well.
stomach turned to knots when it was like time for America to go toe to toe with Wanda, because I was like, if they make this girl use her powers for the first time and beat the Scarlet Witch,
Right.
I'm going to be very disappointed. And then the
Wait a-
twist of the way she defeats her is by showing her, like, essentially giving her what she wants.
Yeah.
And showing her, like, this is not the way to do this.
Leaning
I thought
into
that
the
was
human side.
really, really
Yes.
good. And the fact that the only person that could talk down Wanda was Wanda.
Yeah.
That Wanda could come up and say, like, I get it. I get
Yeah.
your pain. I thought that was
Yeah, they'll be taken care of. Yeah.
very poignant
I liked that.
in the middle of a kind
It
of
was emotional. I got emotional.
a fun nonsense movie.
good.
I'm not using nonsense
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
derogatory term here. Like a fun nonsense movie having that really poignant moment, I thought was great.
Did you guys buy the complete villain heel turn for Wanda?
Yeah.
Did that work for y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It did, and I think it's because of our little extra credit. Sorry, I didn't mean to PTSD. The scene that we have, we see her with the book
With the Dark
at
Hold
the end of
at the
WandaVision.
end,
Yeah,
yes.
And so that makes me, and just hearing rumors of and hearing you guys talk about how like it's pretty canon for her to be an antagonist.
Well, and there was so much discussion after WandaVision of like, how does she face no consequences for? And then here in this
Sure.
movie, we finally get the back end of that. I think that was really
Right.
good.
So this is WandaVision 2, basically.
That's what I'm saying. This movie should have been called. This movie should have been called Marvel's Multiverse of Madness. I mean, it shouldn't have been, but
Yes.
like, if we want to
Sure.
keep that title,
Yeah.
it should have been called Marvel's Multiverse of Madness, starring in the same way that
Yeah.
Captain America: Civil War should have been
Or-
called Marvel's Civil War.
or
Yeah.
just call it Multiverse of Madness.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were saying the title would be Marvel's
no,
Multiverse of Madness.
I just mean like to clarify it. But
Yeah.
it just should have been called Multiverse of Madness, because this is, I would say, pretty inarguably more a Wanda movie than it is a Doctor Strange movie.
Which makes Paul Bettany's absence so strange. White Vision not being in this movie at all, despite being a huge part of the climax. Every multiverse that she sees, Vision is not there. It is always her solo parenting the twins. Vision is never alive.
Yeah.
It's so strange to me.
Isn't that her? Is that not a part of her grief though?
It might be.
When the move she made with her own hands actually eliminated him from every possible universe.
Sure, but if we're like, if her whole thing is that like these multiverses are where I have what I want, in those are her children real or are they constructs that she is not punished for creating? Because if her children are real, then we have to say, okay, how did she envision make children? If they're constructs that she's created, we have to say, why didn't she make Vision too?
Right.
Yeah.
As we sort of head towards shout announcements, I do want to say, Doge, I did watch What If. We have 2 episodes left, but I watched everything up to that point. It had nothing to do with this movie whatsoever.
They really tricked me. Well, there is one.
Well, I mean,
the Captain Carter one.
Yeah, but I could have put 2 and 2 together pretty quick.
Sure. No, they really tricked us. Which
I was expecting it to matter.
I watched the Captain Carter one.
Yeah. Again, like that's the whole thing where it's like they made a big deal of like, what if is canon to the MCU and it's breaking open the multiverse. And then Loki was like, it's canon to the MCU, it's breaking open the multiverse.
Right.
And then No Way Home, it was like, it's canon to the MCU, it's breaking open the multiverse.
Yeah.
And we've broken open the multiverse in about 6 different multimedia projects over the last year, and none of them have anything to do with each other. Like, we're not carrying any story threads forward from What If.
Outside of mention, right? It's not
outside of a brief mention
narrative.
of Spider-Man here. Loki has had nothing to do with the MCU so far.
We're treating the multiverse like we treated Infinity Stones in the first phase of Marvel, to where it's like it's just a buzzword that we're using to generate some hype for stuff.
Right, but so far,
it's like if the movies were about the Infinity Stones specifically, but we didn't really know anything about them.
It's
How many episodes are we into this phase?
I think this is almost done with phase 4, right?
No, phase 4, that's the thing. Phase 4 doesn't have a clear ending because they don't have a clear thing they're building toward.
Right.
But so like everything post Endgame is phase 4.
Okay.
So that's I think that's the frustrating thing is that the MCU
5 movies? 4 movies? 5 movies?
5, I think. Because Black Widow, Far From Home, Black Widow,
Eternals,
Shang-Chi, Eternals, No Way Home, Doctor Strange. This is the 6th movie plus all the TV shows are a part of phase 4.
It's a pretty big
and
phase 4.
The MCU became the box office juggernaut that it is because all the movies were connected to each other. And outside of Wong and Captain Marvel and Bruce Banner appearing in a post-credit scene for Shang-Chi, none of these movies have touched each other.
Yeah.
That's a huge miss to me.
Yeah.
I think Marvel has swung and actually missed with phase 4 because by this point, 6 movies in, 10 years ago, we'd already had the Avengers. 6 movies in, like we already had a sense of, okay, these are all doing something together.
Yeah.
You're getting your chocolate and my peanut butter. I'm getting my peanut butter and your chocolate.
Sure.
And nobody's mixing anything here. They're pretty much standalone and they're kind of doing the same thing every time.
I'm hopeful that it'll turn around. It's still Feige, it's still Marvel, and I still think that Love and Thunder is going to probably fight for a top 5 spot for me. Is my guess.
So. I think for it to land in a top 5 spot, to me, it's going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting. It's going to have to be a good movie by itself and also give me a reason to care about it. Because like with this movie, like it doesn't really matter to me what happens in this movie because everything is consequences of actions that have already happened versus we're setting up for a payoff later. And I know that we've talked before about how like one of the problems with the MCU is that stories aren't allowed to end.
Right. Yeah.
But one of the strengths of the MCU is that it all feels like one thing because it is a story that's building to something.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so it feels like the stories ended at Endgame, and we want to do something cool next, but we don't have a kind of grand vision for how to make everything work together to make that happen.
Yeah. It feels like the connective tissue is like the environment of the multiverse, and we still don't have a clear big bad.
Right.
I think at this point we need to know what everyone is up against besides the threat of mystery.
Right. And so they're using things like Jonathan Majors being cast in Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. They're using that as the hook to keep people on the line, I think, until that movie comes out. And like, I think
Which Quantumania is another basically multiverse thing, right?
Right. And it's like, man, I'm tired of opening the multiverse for the first time. Like, if we're going to do it, but stop stop halfway doing it.
Yeah.
There's a fear too of seeing so many iterations of it, even though they can all tie into being like, this is kind of the same multiverse access.
Yeah.
Is like, what is the point, 3 or 4 movies from now to where we're like, oh, that they had to use the quantum mania to get to that part of the multiverse. We've seen that world before. Here's how we do. It just is starting. It feels like too many.
Yeah.
It's so different than taking these bits of rock and putting them all in this weapon.
Yeah.
With this purpose,
Sure.
So it's tough.
For sure. It is shout announcements time. And there's still quite a bit to talk about. So let's go ahead and jump on in there. Welcome to Shout Announcements. It's the Shout Announcement Show.
Do the whole thing. Do the whole thing in that voice.
No, you always say that, but that's audio suicide.
Well, commit.
No.
Stop being so wishy-washy. You're being a real Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
I am
love that
beholden
band.
to none.
That was a great band.
I'm beholden to none.
I also turned into Mark Wahlberg a little bit when I said that. I didn't mean to. Well, commit. Come on.
You're being a real Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Try it.
Do the whole thing.
You just gotta
Come
try
on.
it. It's not that
Come on,
hard.
kid. Do the whole thing in that voice.
I don't want to eat you. I just want to talk to you.
You're
Okay, say
fine.
hi to your mother for me. I think.
What? I want the gold. It's fine. Gold's better than kids, right?
I think in a world that is binary, where you have 2 options, and one is minimum and one is maximum, that frequently maximum is the superior option.
More is always better.
And that is why, and it's definitely not because our calendars are off and we're very busy. It's not that. It's only
It's not
good
that.
things.
Yeah.
Next week, we will have
Like, it's good things like how our lives are so full and rich.
and busy. I mean,
and
not real biz.
not busy.
We've got
full,
you to thank for the
fulfilling.
richness.
full and fulfilling and not busy. And next week, we will have 1 episode release. That's it, just 1. But it will be a maximum Monday. And here's the fun part. You have a chance to decide. Actually, you've probably already missed it if you
You've
didn't do it
probably
already.
missed your shot.
But
Yeah.
we asked our Discord to weigh in on what they would like Maximum Monday to look like. And that's exactly what we're going to do. It's oops, all fun. And if that's
a weird thing to try for our podcast. Oops,
oops, this one's
fun
only
the whole way
fun.
through.
This one's a fun one.
It's hard to stay
And
fun,
I think
right?
if you're the type of person that's like, I would have loved to have gotten my hand on the ball with that one. Well, I have good news. Just jump on in to patreon.com. Become a patron at the second tier, the highest tier that we offer. Jump into our Discord. Have some conversations, some laughs, some goofs. Currently, we're dunking on one of our Discord members right now for misspelling extra credit.
Shout out to Emo
Shout out
Country
to Emo
for suggesting that we play extra Crefit.
We love you. We love
This
you.
is all happening in real time,
love you, though.
Emo Country. We just sent that
Yeah, yeah,
message
yeah.
quite literally 90 seconds ago. So
Yeah,
a lot of fun. A lot of fun. A lot of fun to be had here. Yeah, come to Discord where we can make fun of you and belittle you. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm serious.
What
if
a
you want to be
place.
roasted by a podcast you like, join our Discord.
Anyway, back to the show. Okay,
I've super pumped and super dumped.
Yeah, you're done.
So I'm going to take my hand off the wheel. I'm putting my sleep mask down. You guys wake me up when we get there.
I have a super pump, but I'm going to wait for just a second. I want to talk about the Illuminati, if that's cool with everyone.
Yeah.
So,
the lizard people that control every facet of our society. Yeah.
so here's the thing.
Me
I
too.
have a lot of mixed feelings about the Illuminati scene.
I do too.
Number one, the most obvious is the John Krasinski
Hey,
of it
hang
all.
on. heavy spoilers right here.
Oh, if you're this far, come on.
Well,
I
I mean,
come
yeah.
on.
Just saying. I'm just saying.
You're a kind soul.
the
dude.
John
and
Krasinski of it all.
I'm accidentally Mark Wahlberg in again. I'm just saying.
I can't tell because this is all so undefined and sloppy with the multiverse stuff. I can't tell if this is, hey, casting confirmed,
keeping him.
John Krasinski is Reed Richards,
I know.
or if this is
Right?
them saying, hey, you finally got John Krasinski as Reed Richards. Now stop asking.
That's the thing, is because every Doctor Strange, every Stephen Strange,
All the same person.
is played by Benedict Cumberbatch. Lashana Lynch, same character that she was in Captain Marvel. She just got the Marvel powers
Right.
this time.
Right.
Every individual is played by the same actor across multiverses, right?
Right.
So does this mean that when we have Charles Xavier in the MCU X-Men movie, it's going to be a 900-year-old Patrick
So
Stewart?
that was the second thing I was going to bring up is love Charles Xavier being there. I don't want anything to do with the Fox X-Men movies. I want them gone.
right. I love Patrick Stewart as Professor X, but I do not think it should have been Patrick Stewart.
Well, and I've
here.
seen a lot of bring in James McAvoy. Don't bring in James McAvoy. I don't want
James McAvoy doesn't want you to bring in
do
James
with the
McAvoy.
Fox movies. I want
McAvoy
them
wants to be done with
gone.
this.
Yeah.
But I do want
I don't
John
know. Have y'all ever
Krasinski.
thought about? Yeah, have y'all thought of like Jesse Eisenberg as bald? Do you think that'd be
Oh
interesting?
yeah, that'd be great.
No, thanks. I think it's just completely out there. I think they get to do whatever they want in this situation. I think it's
The only
Which
concern I
ultimately, as a
have
viewer,
is the two of them, Krasinski and Stewart, is the only ones that I'm like, I have legitimate preferences.
what a freaking tease. It has to be Krasinski. Can it
right,
not be Krasinski?
It has to be.
guys,
I thought he did great.
I kind of don't want Krasinski.
Why?
Oh,
I love Krasinski, but I don't like. There's something that feels so like fan servicey to me about having Krasinski in this role, which is fine. Like he did great here. I like the idea conceptually of Krasinski and Emily Blunt as Reed and Sue is great. Like I do like that.
Yeah,
but
it
I
does
think there
sound
are
bad
more,
so far.
I think there are more interesting choices that we could make with those roles that when I look at them, I don't just see Krasinski. Do you know what I mean? Like I think there's
I disagree. I hear you and I respect you, but I think at this point you're going to start to get more and more A-listers in the MCU, and you can make that argument for almost anybody that you cast.
fair.
I just
Fair. Krasinski is 3 years older than Chris Evans. And part of it feels like metatextually outside the narrative, part of the reason that we're getting so many of the original folks from the first couple of phases sort of laying down their spandex right now is so that we don't end up with a next Avengers movie full of 50-year-olds and 60-year-olds saving the world.
I want it all though. I want 60-year-olds and 20-year-olds and 40-year-olds. Like I want it all. And if Krasinski is going to come in and play Reed Richards until he's 58, yeah, bring it on. I'm down.
Cool.
I'm down. That's me though. I'm not saying you have to share that with me. That's just how I feel about it.
I disagree.
How was the reaction in your theater when
They lost
people
their
clapped when
minds,
it was
yeah.
Krasinski?
My theater
People
had
clapped
good
for
energy.
Krasinski. People clapped for Patrick Stewart.
Somebody in the back, they showed John Krasinski. Somebody in the back goes, no. And I laughed a lot at that. I had no idea. That was the biggest blindside of the movie.
That was
I kind of went down in my seat. I was like, oh.
That was a big
It was like-
surprise to me. Patrick Stewart
I love
was
it.
all but
He's
confirmed
in the
by
trailer, pretty
trailers.
much.
I hate the way that they did that because the trailer revealed Patrick Stewart and then the movie plays it like we're supposed to be surprised.
right. Yeah.
That's so
I
frustrating.
think there might be some correlation. There could be some reveal through research here that when we get a big reveal in a trailer, there's a thought by the production company that maybe this movie won't do as well in theaters.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. Hence Doomsday in all the Batman versus Superman trailers.
Yeah. It's like we got to give them something now.
Right.
Right now.
Right. Because so
they'll
far there's
go and
not
see
buy-in.
that something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, just you don't typically
Because
think of Marvel
obviously
doing
that was lauded, even though people knew it was coming. To see him was like a big deal.
Yeah.
for sure.
We did also get Anson Mount reprising his role as Black Bolt from the ABC since canceled Inhumans series, which this is probably not the same Black Bolt. This is not the same Charles Xavier that we watched in 2000. You know, these are different.
Different.
Again, lends credibility to the theory that every individual is played by the same actor across every multiverse.
Right.
Yeah. I love how they showed us Black Bolt's powers.
Yeah. Very cool.
Personally. Like the I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like the way that they killed that version of
That's
Strange.
cool.
Very cool.
Just to see, like, I'm glad they just up to 11 for the sound.
Yeah.
Like, I really, really enjoyed
Now,
that.
okay. Sorry, I was just going to continue the Black Bolt conversation for just 1 second. Charlize at the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is she an Inhuman?
No, that's Clea.
I'm unfamiliar.
Clea is another sorceress.
Okay. I was completely unfamiliar. I thought maybe they were doing like an Inhumans thing. There's an Inhumans movie coming out, right?
No. There was years ago.
Okay.
That has since been scrapped and turned into
show, right?
Turned into the show on ABC that was pretty poorly
Mm-hmm.
reviewed. Yes.
Okay. Good to know.
Clea is a sorceress, disciple, lover, eventual wife of Stephen Strange.
Oh,
There you go. Not surprised that she was introduced after we know that he's not going to have Regina George. So
Yeah.
my super pump in the Sam Raimi of it all is Scarlet Witch walking in there and just killing all the Illuminati.
Mm.
I actually loved that.
I did too.
I did too. Yeah.
I fully
did
enjoyed
too.
it. Black Bolt realizing that he doesn't have a mouth and then screaming and then it implodes on him.
Yeah.
Turning Reed
Captain
Richards
Carter
into Sketty.
getting for sure cut in half.
Yeah.
Sketty, fantastic Mr. Sketty.
Fantastic
Like,
Mr.
that
Head
was-
Poppy Sketty.
And then we just kind of had like the crushing of Captain Marvel. That was
Yeah.
maybe my least favorite because it wasn't as
Yeah.
gory. But I was just like, this is crazy. That any time you can give me more than 30 seconds. I mean,
She's
this was
doing it
close
in
to
mom
4
jeans and a
minutes.
sweater too.
Yeah, just
Covered
4
in
minutes
covered
of
in the
my
oil
jaw.
from the Ultron sentries that
Uh-huh.
looks
Yes.
like blood. Yeah.
Yes, that's my super pump. And also, it's like, I love how we never made Scarlet Witch not the strongest being in the universe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
She only can beat herself. I love that that's never changed. She's by far the most powerful. Do you think she's dead?
No.
No, I don't.
They did give us a little
Right. I think that
of like
puff-
the red stuff
I think
after
that
it crushed
puff was every dark hold being destroyed.
She defo not dead. I don't.
She's not dead. For sure she's
yeah,
not dead.
Carter-
It wouldn't surprise me if Elizabeth Olsen wants to be done though.
My super pump is Elizabeth Olsen. Just in general, this is the best performance of her MCU career.
Dude, it's a shame because this is not even close to the best script she's been
I know
given.
it's a bummer. I think that she has. It's been a real pleasure to watch her come into her own as the character Scarlet Witch. She's always been a good actor, but watching her like make Wanda this like living, breathing, feeling thing in front of us has been an absolute pleasure. I told Callie on the way out of the theater last night, I was like, I am in the way that you can be with celebrities because it's safe and so distant from your real life. I am in love with Elizabeth Olsen. She is amazing.
Yeah, she's great.
She is such a good actor. And here, she's just the best part of the movie. And not just her acting, but like anything that involves Scarlet Witch. Like she's just the coolest part of the movie, the scariest part of the movie, the heart of the movie. She's acting her butt off. And don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
She's straight up.
one of my other top 5 actresses is Rachel McAdams. So this was a movie made for me to be happy about in that way because they're both so good. But Elizabeth Olsen puts this movie on her back legit. Like straight up carries this movie.
She's straight up like Pennywised out of that gong, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Like-
gross. That was
There was
yucky.
Yeah, she's
Yep.
spooky, no doubt. No doubt. She's very spooky. I think there was a promise made by the vibe of the trailers that this was going to get Lovecrafty, otherworldly, more body horror. And yeah, we get like an ancient book with like some weird creatures guarding it and trying to like walk through dreams. That's all very Lovecraft for sure. I think I just wanted to leave the movie saying, what did I just watch in a different way?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I wanted a movie that I had to watch a few times to really catch everything, not a movie that I'm confused
This
because
is
it wasn't very good.
Yeah. Yeah. This is that talent show metaphor again. It's like, I'm never going to forget about 2 or 3 things that
Correct.
happened in this movie.
Right.
I'm going to mull over, like, I am totally down for the Corpse Strange
Yeah.
Like Zombie
Yep, why
Strange
not?
Wings of Demons. What? That was so
Yeah,
cool.
very
That was
cool.
the most metal thing
Yeah, that was very cool.
that I've ever seen
Very,
in my
very cool.
life. It looked like a Black Sabbath tour shirt. Like it
Yes.
was wild to me. I could not believe what was happening.
You know what's funny? I typically really like the goofy post-credit scenes in Marvel movies. And I really like Bruce Campbell a lot. So I think that this one's really funny to like just, it's over. And then it was finished.
Yep.
But when the goofy ones are attached to a movie that fell so short, it almost feels like a slap in the face, which is just me being entitled to a cool, like it's just me feeling entitled to a cooler post-credit scene. But it feels like when you watch one of these like C- Marvel movies, that it's like, well, at least maybe the post-credit scene's going to set up something incredible.
Right. That's the thing is like the ending of this movie, like where it just ends with that zoom in on Doctor Strange opening his third eye because he used the dark hole.
Because it's like, who cares about the third? Does the third eye do something? Like, why do I care about that?
I think sucks as an ending for this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the post-credit scene of Clea coming and saying, you caused an incursion and we're going to fix it, and she rips open a hole to the dark dimension, sucks as an ending for this
Because
movie.
why isn't it somebody from the TVA, dude?
Because why do we care? And I think the one that sucks the most is Bruce Campbell at the end, because I don't think they earned
They didn't
that.
earn
Like
that joke. Yeah, I agree.
Historically, that slot for Marvel has to be a spot where we set up, like, here's why you should actually care about what's happening.
Yeah, you
Can I
only
rewrite
earn
the
shawarma when you put out the Avengers.
Right.
Can I change the end?
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep the first post credit with Clea, and that actually be the eye. I don't think we see the eye,
Until
the third
then.
eye.
Exactly.
Until then.
Exactly.
But here's my end now. Okay. Is this movie's already asking you to have seen a lot of the MCU.
Yeah.
It's so funny reading, like most critics that don't like this movie right now are saying like, it's just asking too much of us. It's expecting us to see what came before. And I'm like,
That's the point. Yeah.
Yeah, so was Return of the Jedi. Like, what are you, get over it, right? So it's like, I think the end, we see him walking, right? Like he's walking with his little happy walk or whatever. He's feeling good. We've got Doctor Strange maybe a little bit changed. Him and Wanda have that whole vibe of like, there's an evil selfishness to us, but we're figuring it out so that we can save the world together.
Yeah.
And then we just see in the background that orange door,
A TVA door open. Yep.
the TVA door open, and we don't even have to see him, but I just want to hear Owen Wilson.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's talk. And just be like, that's awesome.
Doctor-
What a great end that would be.
Steven, you got
Yeah.
a second? Yeah.
Hey, Steve, you got a second? Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah. But
That's
just
the
something,
end.
because that's the thing that I think we're all hungry for at this point is some reason for these to like go together. I would replace the Bruce Campbell one with like, let's figure out a continuation of that scene, the post-credit scene from Shang-Chi, where it's Sean and Katie who get called before some of the Avengers. Hey, where'd you get these rings? What are these rings supposed to be doing? Like,
Yes, dude.
why are we introduced? It's so frustrating because Marvel didn't do this up until now.
Yeah.
Where they just throw spaghetti at the wall. But it feels like we're throwing spaghetti at the wall and don't have a plan.
I already liked Shang-Chi a lot.
I did too.
I like it more. It's funny to start having these. You can't help with this massive library to compare, especially, comparing Doctor Strange iterations, right? Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness.
Yes.
Feels like a weird comparison to each other because of what we already said. It should have just been called Multiverse of Madness.
Yes.
Doctor Strange is as much in this movie. So the first 40 minutes, which is heavy Doctor Strange and No Way Home, is infinitely better Doctor
Yes.
Strange than him with American
Dude,
Chavez
I
in
think
the first
Doctor
40 minutes of
Strange
this
has
movie.
historically been better in other people's
It's not-
movies than he has been in his own.
To me, that's not a hot. Maybe it's a hot take for some people. I completely agree with you. I think that he is
the best-
infinitely better in other people's.
I
movies.
think the coolest Doctor Strange moment is whenever he dreamwalks into the corpse of an alternate universe version of himself and uses the souls of the damned as wings. That's very freaking cool.
Who says it has to be alive?
Right.
It's like, yes.
Yeah, that's very
And
cool.
that's
also very Sam Raimi.
That's literally
Yes.
that's like that's the cover of the Evil Dead. I mean,
Exactly.
that's
coming out. Yeah,
the hand
that's
coming out.
Chekhov's corpse.
Yeah, right.
From the first
do
act.
it. Just do it. It's fine. Just do it. You're already crazy.
But I think that every other appearance of Doctor Strange is better than every other moment in this movie. What did you guys think of the music fight? That was weird, huh?
I thought it was kind of cool.
I dug it.
I
liked it.
dug it so much.
I thought it was kind of cool.
Really loved that.
Yeah, very Disney Philharmonic.
I was about to say
I liked it a
Fantasia.
lot.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed it, and him just playing the harp to just blow all that other stuff up. That was really fun.
People in my theater were laughing at it.
I think it is funny.
Yeah, I had somebody.
Yeah.
I had somebody laugh at the harp thing, which is fine too because that is. So here's.
But that's the weirdness I wanted. Fight with music notes. Like,
yeah,
yes.
Just be weird.
So like the audience reactions to stuff too, and here's something that I realized is we still at the root of Two Chunks, I feel like foundationally in our mission statement is love what you love. Like I want you to love what you love, dislike what you dislike. But I do, especially with the MCU, I want it to be good. And I'm so bummed when some things are off. I felt myself trying to manage other people's emotions already.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like I felt myself being like, ooh, I hope this doesn't. I'm thinking of all the other people that if you're trying to get somebody into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, chronologically, there's tons of stuff that makes sense narratively you don't just jump into. This is the very last movie I would want anyone to have a first experience with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You don't just jump into this. And that's different than saying you don't just start with Endgame, right?
Right.
Like with this, you might get a bad taste in your mouth. They're all like this.
It's not that you'll be
strange. It's not what I
confused, you'll be
expected.
disappointed.
it sort of feels like somebody told
Yeah.
you they've never had Tex-Mex before, so you take them to Gloria's and then buy them a burger.
Yeah. Or you take them to Chili's.
Yeah, right. It's like, why would you pick that? I also think this reveals, so what we're talking about with like the TVA door appearing or, I mean, anything, any connective tissue at all, it feels like Marvel is once again accidentally doing the thing they did with the Netflix shows where it's like the Netflix shows are like, man, you know, the big thing in New York happened. That's crazy. Oh, you don't want to have Thor run in here with his hammer. And then the movies just completely ignore that the shows ever existed in the first place.
Except that this is a direct sequel to WandaVision.
Right. That's the, is it
and
the
I think-
first acknowledgement in a film of any of these?
Yes. And I think that's
No,
what
that's
we're
not true.
running
Black
into.
Widow. At the end of Black Widow, Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
That's true. I think what we're running into, though, is the long lead time that it takes to write and produce a movie and the COVID delays that shuffled everything around.
Yeah, right.
Because, like, we didn't really change much of our TV schedule because those are a lot quicker turnaround.
Right.
But, like, the finale of Loki had not aired by the time that Spider-Man No Way Home was finished being filmed.
Right.
And this was originally supposed to come before Spider-Man No Way Home. When we shuffled our release order, this actually got pushed to after Spider-Man No Way Home. So some of these reshoots are like them sitting in the cafe and talking about, oh, I had to help the spider guy. And
Yeah, right.
America Chavez is like, does he shoot webs out of his butt? I don't know, maybe.
Pretty funny, actually.
That is funny. That joke is never not funny. But I just think there is so, like, because of the COVID pandemic, but more than that, because the TV shows are not as tightly plotted and subject to change, I think it's just becoming, it feels like Marvel, gosh, I don't want to say they bit off more than they can chew because I do have faith in them as a production company, but it does feel like it's harder than they anticipated.
Yeah.
Yeah. When stories are made well enough, it's easy for me to forget how much money and how many people that's paying.
Yeah.
That the movie is making, right? But because Sony is also doing superhero stuff right now, I catch myself being like, man, I hope you're not just doing this and getting it out because you know it'll buy you time to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Literally buy you time. They don't have to worry about this movie that is bizarre making at least what the Batman made.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
It'll beat the Batman easily.
It'll beat the Batman. It'll make 900 million. It might not make $1 billion. I don't know. No Way Home was wild, and there's a lot of heat on. I don't know. Multiverse of Madness has really good culty vibes to me, like in the good culty vibes. Very Waco. Feels very Waco. But it feels like there's going to be some people, and I love that for them, that are going to say this is their favorite.
Yeah.
And I think that's great because you don't get that for the Dark World. It's a joke for other bad iterations of the MCU.
Right.
But for this, okay, I get to know a little bit more about you if you say on the personality quiz of which Marvel movie are you, that you're the Multiverse of Madness.
Well, I think the thing like this, it does absolutely, now that you've mentioned that, it does absolutely feel like a lot of the releases since Endgame have been, we got to put something out and then let's figure out what our next thing is later.
How encouraging was Shang-Chi? I don't mean to. This isn't going to turn into a Shang-Chi episode, but like seeing that, there was some really different things about
Yes,
that movie.
absolutely.
Right? We went to another world that was within our world that we'd never heard about because the forest just hugs harder and you can't get through. That was really bizarre.
Yeah.
But it was like, okay, but this belongs.
Yeah.
This dragon that we're fighting, that's fine.
Yeah.
That belongs. But then we've gone out and you're right, we're kind of doing the multiverse to death right now.
Yeah.
And then bringing it back from the dead and doing it again.
Hey, we'll always have Love and Thunder.
We will. Do you still think that's going to be the highest grossing movie of the year?
Yeah.
I mean, I do now.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Well, we didn't say of the year.
Of the first half.
I guess no.
Of the three. Of our superhero three.
Of our three.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because I was Team Multiverse of Madness.
I know you were, and I forgive you for that.
I don't know. Well, I don't know if critic reaction is going to deter people or not.
I mean,
No.
Let's put it this way. If Thor Love and Thunder gets good reviews, that will help it more than poor critical reaction to, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
it's definitely going to help, but I just think there are more Thor fans than Doctor Strange fans. Almost not even, like probably by a lot, especially after Ragnarok.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's our only OG left, right? Basically,
Yeah.
Black Widow's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And this feels like his farewell, does it not?
I
Yeah,
think probably.
I bet Chris hangs up the hammer after this.
Such a bummer. 'cause
Eternals
they
had a
just got good.
simultaneous release. Eternals had a simultaneous release, did it not?
No.
Or it only lasted like 30 days in theaters before it
That's
came to
probably right.
stream.
I think so, yeah.
It was one of those. It just made 400 million, which saying just made 400 million.
But that's low for one of these.
Sure.
Yeah.
They're not going to do
And then
that.
Shang-Chi was
I don't
similar.
think anymore. Gotta make that paper. It is
Yeah,
time.
I don't know.
Yeah, Shang-Chi made 430 million.
It is
Yeah.
time to rate this movie using science.
Before you say all the stuff, I don't want to know your ratings, but have you guys talked yourself down from where you were?
Nope, I'm exactly where I
Throughout
left
the
the
course of
theater
this
yesterday.
I'm the same, yeah.
The scientific cinema scale is perfect, and as follows: the best thing we could ever say about a movie is own it, don't lend it, buy that poster.
Only if the poster is the corpse of Doctor Strange using the souls of the
With all
damned
the
as
arms
demon
behind him,
wings.
because that was very cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll be a tattoo pretty soon.
The next best thing is buy it. It's followed by rent it, and then stream it, strip it, and then stream it.
Yeah.
After that is forget it, and last but certainly least, the worst thing we could ever say about a movie: God hath forsaken us. I'll go first.
Rent it.
Okay.
Nope. Too bad, boy. I'm going to rent it.
Sure.
Because just like in that talent show, like I'd want to see that again. I think I do. The rewatchability plays a pretty big factor for me. I'm realizing 400 episodes into the scientific cinema scale that like sometimes rents are willingness to watch again, but not a lot. But I think I could come back to the Multiverse of Madness several times. I think there's a lot of eye candy. I think I'm fine to use the bathroom and make a meal during the beginning of it so that I can sit down and then rewatch in full
parts you
everything
like, yeah.
else. Yeah, but it is a rent.
Yeah, I'm streaming it. A lot of the same reasons, just apparently moderately harsher. I don't know that I will ever watch this again. I will watch pieces of it again. I have no interest in consuming this movie from top to bottom anymore, but I will watch the parts I liked the most.
I'm also going to stream it because it's going to be on Disney Plus in 6 months or less.
You'll just wait.
I'll just wait, man. It just feels like, dude, it feels like the latest entry in what now seems to be a pretty rudderless ship.
Yeah, and I don't know if we're going to get much rudder from Love and Thunder, which is fine.
It's fine because that movie shouldn't, like, that is such unfair expectations to place on one movie. Like Thor Love and Thunder, you have to tell a good story and also justify the 6 that came before you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's always Thor, Love, and Thunder, you know?
Right. What I'm not saying is that I'm out on the MCU.
No, of course not.
It's
Oh my gosh, no.
but
I am
Nobody
disappointed.
thought you were saying that.
for the first time, I feel that there is not a unifying vision.
Dude,
this is
I don't know,
this is
man.
the least.
I think we're maybe looking a little rose-colored glasses. I felt funny leaving Thor: The Dark World. Like I remember leaving Thor to the Dark World and being like, I don't know. I left Age of Ultron and was a little like, I left Iron Man 3 and felt a little like there have been lots of MCU movies I've walked out of, been like, man, I hope the next one's better.
Sure, but they were on about a 5-year hot streak.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like pretty much since The Winter Soldier, it had been a hot streak up until Endgame.
Sure.
And then it feels like kind of floundering since then. It's great on TV. Not as great in the theater anymore, except for No Way Home. Was really good.
And Shang-Chi's really good. Like, I just don't think that's the case. I just think this is a stinker.
Yeah, but I think the movies themselves are good, but we're not living up to the promise of what this can be and what they built their brand on, which is interconnected storytelling.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that.
I think I am also excited just to have fun. Like it feels like Miss Marvel, from what we've seen of how that's being shot, followed by, we've had all these shows that lead up to the movie, basically, right? Moon Knight's finale is right before we get the Multiverse of Madness. So from the beginning of June, when Miss Marvel comes out, until the beginning of July, when we get Love and Thunder, I think that's going to be really fun.
Yeah, I think so
month
too.
and a half. I think it's just going to be a blast, and I'm excited for that. And if there's one thing that Feige does pretty well is when we do throw some of these things against the wall, like the Dark Worlds and stuff like that. Like I love that we can laugh back at things.
Yeah.
I was already thinking of there's going to be someone who makes a joke to America about like trauma that she had when she was 15 or however old she is right now, right? Because someone's going to make a joke about how terrifying this movie was in another movie.
Right.
Right. We don't want to do that again. Or I don't know.
Right. I don't know, man. I think I might have a little bit of franchise fatigue.
I mean, that's bound to happen.
That's why I'm saying I feel like it's a reset, It's one thing to have family fatigue, but when Uncle Doge comes over, it's like, oh, cool. Family's great.
Yeah.
We don't have to have, there doesn't have to be a reason. Let's just go be spontaneous, have a blast, laugh.
Yeah, Thor is everybody's
food.
favorite uncle from the MCU at this point.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
I'm everyone's favorite uncle.
I'm going to say no, but
I don't mind it.
Everyone's
mind
favorite uncle.
no, I don't think so.
The strongest.
Nope. I can't even
The
start.
strongest uncle.
That was not bad. To end today's episode, I'd like for each of us to say our name and
Easy.
Yeah, I got that one. Don't even have to think about it.
Done.
Fancast Human Torch. Fancast Human Torch.
Fancast?
Fancast.
That's us, though. Are we trying to do what the people
No,
would
what
want?
we would want as the Human Torch.
Oh, because we are the fan. We are the fan.
Is that a POD song? Were you singing a POD song just then?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Big time.
Instead of taking a test, I took 2 to the chest. I remember that line all the time.
Ooh, Mark Spector.
Yeah.
Much? Multiverse?
I got it. I have mine.
Oh, I have mine locked.
I have
and
mine.
loaded,
I have
my
mine
dude.
for the Human Torch.
Go ahead. I'll figure it out.
The Muse.
What's your name?
It's Jordan.
Are you
I'm
going
Jordan.
now?
For Human Torch, the Muse, the baby boy,
No.
Hollywood's.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Hollywood's lithe
The Elf King.
human cat, the elf king himself, none other than Timothy
of the pointed chin.
Chalamet.
Really?
Dude, I honestly
Not as
think
the Human Torch.
No, he'd slap. He'd slap. He'd slap.
Not a
He'd slap.
chance.
He'd slap.
Not a chance.
No.
He's too pale and sickly Victorian to be the
Nope.
Human Torch.
He would be amazing.
I'm Doge, Noah Centineo.
No. What?
Yep.
Don't you want somebody who can act though?
You know what? You heard what I said.
I like him. He's charming,
for it.
but I've never seen him do anything that made me think he could act.
As he doesn't have to act. He just has to be a smug Deutsche bag, and he can do that
Is
really
he
well.
German? A Deutsche,
he
a
will-
Deutsche bag?
He will be in this one. He will be in this one.
Yeah, then perhaps
human-
we just
the
heat
human
things up a
torch
little
is
bit.
perhaps-
yes, flame on.
Perhaps
Flame on,
Perhaps I
I'd
should
say.
use my fire powers against you, Dr. Doom.
Perhaps. Dr. Doom. I'm Carter and Glenn Powell.
I don't know that boy.
You saw him in the Top Gun Maverick trailer. This guy's on the up and up. He's in one of my favorite romantic comedies right now called Set It Up. Glenn Powell.
Yeah, he'd be good.
He's the one who's like, he's one of the pilots in the Top Gun Maverick trailer.
Yeah.
I guess they all were pilots in the Top Gun.
Yeah,
Maverick.
It's almost
narrow it
mostly
down.
Glenn
pilots,
Powell.
yeah.
Glenn Powell for sure.
Glenn Powell would do
for
a good
me,
job.
personally. Glenn
Ooh,
Powell.
I have another option that I'm not changing because I still think Timothée Chalamet is the best possible option. But what would we think about Billy Magnuson?
Ooh, I could get behind that a lot.
Maybe.
You guys are picking old boys. I mean, Tim's not old.
Glenn Powell?
88.
That's at my
I
age.
know. I want to go younger.
Billy
to my
Magnuson's
age.
35.
I want to go.
Whoa, he's just 4 days older than me.
I want to go 20s for the Human Torch.
Okay.
He's Sue's younger brother.
Well, then you pick that.
I did, and you said I wasn't allowed.
No, I said you're allowed to. It's just I don't like that guy that much.